Hi, I'm Tricia from Club Scrap, and I'm so glad you've decided to join me for the Abundance Page Kit Workshop. We're going to have a lot of fun making those 8 pages together. I've got my kit ready to go, along with my printed instructions. I also have my Accordion Pocket File ready to go, and this has 4 pockets to keep us organized while we trim every piece required for all 8 layouts. I'll place that right under the top of my trimmer base here. And if you don't have that Accordion Pocket File, don't let it stop you from taking this class. Just maintain 4 piles on your work surface. It's just that this keeps us a little bit more organized in a much smaller surface area. Then take your entire Abundance page kit. I'm going to set aside anything that's in the kit that's not paper, and we'll begin by sorting out our photo mats into the appropriate pocket. It's sort of like a little warm-up. We'll grab 3 of these blue photo mats, and I'm going to pop those into pocket labeled 1 and 2, or your pile labeled 1 and 2. Then 3 dark brown photo mats go into pocket 3 and 4. And remember to grab the dark brown, not the light brown. Then 3 light brown photo mats go in pocket 5 and 6, and the last 3 orange photo mats go in 7 and 8. Easy peasy. Next, let's take all the 12 by 12 paper you have in the kit, and I like to hold it up so I can see it more easily from the top edge, and we'll sort it into the order we'll be trimming it. The first piece we'll cut is this ivory print. Let's just take one of those and put it face down on your trimmer base. And then I'll take one of this blue print and put that face down on the trimmer. We'll find one orange, and this orange is really heavyweight, so you're gonna have to just trust me that you have one sheet to make sure you only have one, but it's gonna feel like 2. And 1 sheet of the blue. Now on this blue, you'll notice that there is a texture. So I'm gonna make sure that the texture side, when I place it on my trimmer base, the texture side is facing down. Next, near the back of your collated stack of paper, you'll find 2 sheets of Cutaparts. Now I want you to find the one that has the wide brown border on the left edge that says "Eat, Drink, and Be Thankful." And then your other sheet of Cutaparts from the back of the stack that has like a tan strip and an orange strip. I'm going to take that one, put it face down. Then 1 blue print face down, the other blue with that texture. So I'll put the texture side facing down. Then we'll choose 2 sheets of the darkest brown. And again, note that there is a texture. It's on both sides, but it's more pronounced on one of the sides. You'll notice right away. So I'm going to flip these so that the deepest texture is facing down. Next up, I will find 2 sheets of the lighter brown. That doesn't have a texture, so it doesn't really matter. And lastly, 1 sheet of orange. Same thing. It's a smooth sheet. And then the ivory, that'll go face down. That's our plan. If I went too fast, you can rewind that as much as you need. And another tip too is if I'm going too fast, which I might be if you're new to us here, keep in mind that you can go into your YouTube settings. That's the little gear usually found in the lower right corner of your playback screen. And then you'll be able to choose playback speed, and then you can select 0.75. That'll really slow me down until you get proficient with the method, okay? Now I'm gonna take this first sheet, put it in my trimmer, and we want that to be placed with and we want that set up so that you have the 3 orange flowers at the top. So a nice easy cut here. We'll lift our blade and make sure this is flush at the top of our trimmer base so that it slides smoothly. Go under the clear bar, find 7 inches, being mindful that the 7-inch mark is underneath the centimeter line. Okay, so the numbers below the centimeters are the inches. That's what we want. So 7 inches. Always push down in that clear bar before you bring the blade down. And this larger piece here will be placed into pocket 5 and 6. It's really a big piece, so I want you to place it at an angle so you can still see the number of the pocket on the left side of the pocket. The other larger piece that fell from the end, we're going to place that also at an angle in pocket 1 and 2 and move right on to our blue print. We're going to place this in the trimmer in what I feel is the right side up, but you're going to have a large flower here and then a medium one on the right edge about center. Let's trim at 8.5 and then 3 1/4. So when I find the 3 1/4, I find 3 first, and then I slide to the left 1 column to find 3 1/4. Take the 3 1/4 inch piece you just made and plop that in pocket 7 and 8, again at an angle. Now this next strip we're going to cut into smaller sections. So let's place it horizontally into the trimmer and cut at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, and 3 3/4. You just made a series of pieces that are all the same size, and those are going to go in pocket 3 and 4. There is a small piece that fell from the end, and we'll place that in pocket 5 and 6. And you have this larger piece remaining, pocket 3 and 4. Moving on already to page 2 of our instructions with the orange. We'll make a series of 1-inch strips, and you'll always notice that if I'm going to cut a small strip, I always subtract it, the width I want, from the size of the paper. So if this is 12 inches and I want a 1-inch strip, I'm going to trim at 11 and then slide it to 10 and then 9. I'm making more strips here. Notice I'm not moving the strips as they fall. Now move all the way down to 6. A nice whole number for you. Now rotate that paper that's in your trimmer base so it's horizontal. We'll find 8 and then slide to 4. Again, notice I'm not moving anything as it fell. Now, the piece that's in your trimmer base, pick that up and put it in pocket 1 and 2. Grab the other 2 pieces the same size. Those will go in pocket 7 and 8. Now we have this strip. We will trim it horizontally at 10 1/2, 7, and 3 1/2. You made 3 rectangles the same size. They all go in pocket 5 and 6. And we have this little rectangle that fell from the end. Believe it or not, we're going to trim it. Let's go at 1 1/2. That makes 2 little squares, and they're going to be placed in pocket 5 and 6. And now we have the series of these 1-inch pieces. Put one of them in pocket 1 and 2, and the other 2 in 5 and 6. Next up, we're at our blue. Again, I have the texture on the top. Now when you're trimming it, the texture side, whichever way it's facing, doesn't matter. But I like to have it like this so that when it goes into the pocket, it's right side up. And then when I adhere it to my page, it's right side up. We're gonna make a really tiny strip that's 1/4 inch wide. Therefore, we'll trim at 11 3/4. And then 10 3/4. 7 1/2. So 7 plus 2 columns to the left. And 4 1/4. Rotate the 4 1/4 so it's horizontal. And we'll trim at 10 3/4, 9 1/2, 8 1/4, and 6 1/4. So this right here is a nice size photo mat, 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. We'll put that in pockets 7 and 8. Then we have a rectangle. Okay, it's a little bit wider than the other pieces. We're going to trim that horizontally at 4 and 2. And you just made a pair of squares for pocket 1 and 2. You also made your very first scrap of the day. Not bad for a scrap. Then you have a series of 1, 2, 3 little strips. They're all the same size for pocket 1 and 2. Let's pick up the very next strip. We'll trim this one at 11, 8 3/4, 6 1/2, and 3 1/4. The piece you just created plus the one that just fell, those are squares, and they both go in pocket 1 and 2. Then you have 2 more rectangles the same size. One of them goes in pocket 1 and 2, the other in 3 and 4. Finally, you have this narrow strip here. We're actually using it in pocket 5 and 6. Let's take the next strip. So that's what I mean. It's kind of nice if I can just say, take the next one, because it's on the top of the pile because it hasn't been moved. That's my reasoning behind not moving things as it lands. But if you need to know, it's 3 1/4 by 12 again. And this time we're going to cut at 9 3/4, 7 1/2, and 4 1/4. This rectangle that we ended with in the trimmer base, that goes in pocket 3 and 4. The next two pieces, actually the next three pieces, there are two the same, one square. They all go in pocket 5 and 6. This wider strip, pocket 1 and 2. And you have this really, really skinny guy, 5 and 6. So again, the only scrap that we made is this one. That's not bad. Just that one scrap. And the whole thing, the whole project, one. Okay, now we have our Cutaparts. If you know what to do, go ahead and get started. But otherwise, I'll explain that there's this text on the outer perimeter of our print here. It says, remove paper outside of corner cutting guides. That little gray, tan cut line there, that's the cutting guide. So when I do my first cut, my trimmer isn't quite large enough for me to see the edge of the blade at the bottom and the top. So when I make that first cut, I usually leave a little bit of that mark behind. Then when I rotate, now the paper will be small enough for me to see that cut line. I can just see it beyond the edge of the blade here. So I'm gonna line it up as best I can. And then now I will line it up again on this other side. Rotate, and this time I can look at the number 12 on the left. And it lines up nicely with my cut lines on the right. And one last rotation to just clean this up a little bit, making sure it looks just right. And it took off literally a sliver of paper. I love that my trimmer is capable of doing that. And I'll dispose of those little scraps. And now with the words Autumn Paints in Colors, let's put that on the right. So we're taking off the smallest pieces first. Now I'm going to give you a measurement you're not generally used to. It's 11 1/8. So that can be found between the 11 and the 11 1/4. We have 11 1/8. Otherwise, just, separate the two pieces with equal margin between them. Then that's the last hard one. Now we're at 10 1/4, 9 1/2, 8 3/4, 6 1/2, and 3 1/2. Okay, this wide strip that we have here, place that in pocket 5 and 6. Now the rest of this piece, that can just go in pocket 5 and 6 because all of these elements will be trimmed out like a fussy cut with scissors, and they're all using the same page. So 5 and 6 on that. You can do it now or later. And now we have this Captured Memories border. Let's place that in pocket 3 and 4. The next two strips with the dots, that goes in 5 and 6. And the final two strips with our title and some leaves, 1 and 2. Okay, we get to do all of that one more time. With the final sheet of Cutaparts, we'll remove that perimeter. So again, I'll go shy of my mark on my first trim. Then I rotate. This time I can see better where the edge of my blade lands, both at top and bottom. Rotate again, line it up nicely. And now I can look at my 12, just confirm it looks good. I take off that last sliver by looking at the 12. Whew, that's a little one too. I love it. See, I love that I can do that. Get rid of those scraps and make sure that the tan full-length strip here is on the right. First cut is at 10 1/2 on this one. Oh, I'm gonna just pause. I forgot to tell you that this piece with the oak leaf on it, that goes in 1 and 2. I apologize. Okay, now let's move on to the 9-inch mark here after that slight interruption. If I had been in a live workshop, everyone would say, wait, where does that go? But no one was here to tell me. Again, that was 9, and then 7, and 4. Rotate the 4-inch piece. We want the shorter boxes on the right, the one that says of your dreams. And we'll trim at 11, 10, 9, and 6. This large 6-inch piece, pocket 7 and 8. And then we've got this blue 3 and 4. The 3 pieces that are all the same size, these little strips, all of them go in 1 and 2. And let's see, we can take this one. I want you to place it in the trimmer so that change is beautiful. The blue block is on the right. We'll trim at 9 and 6. Again, at this point, you can remove these with scissors. I'll just do this right now as a sample. So when I take my scissors in here, there's a little glow around each leaf. And if you just follow the glow line, it'll look kind of like a sticker, which is a look that I like. And then you get all that detail without having to worry about what stays behind, what detail you're gonna keep. And this way, that little glow, I just think makes fussy cutting easier, and the item always looks really nice. Like if you were using a scan and cut, it would probably do something similar. It would put a little shadow around it, but all of this just takes a matter of moments, and you've got some nice shapely embellishments to add to your layout that didn't require a lot of effort on your part. All the effort's been on our part, and you just get to coast along with us. All 3 of these pieces are placed in pockets 7 and 8. Then the orange block, 5 and 6. The blue block, 1 and 2. We're so close. Let's take this next strip. I'll have the tags on the right. So we'll go 9, 6, and 3. The blue piece, frenzies till the ensies, I love that, 5 and 6. And then you have the brown piece, dance like a fallen leaf, 1 and 2. Now on the Stay Golden, you can see it's a tag, and I'm just gonna place that back in my trimmer, and I tend to close one eye. It's a little easier to see, to match the size of the margin on all the sides, all the paper that extends beyond the line, in other words. So Stay Golden, 3 and 4, and I'll quick lob off my corners of this last leafy journaling prompt here. And that's gonna go in 7 and 8. This orange border strip also 7 and 8. And lastly, we have the tan strip going in pocket 3 and 4. I'll get rid of my immense pile of scraps. There's one, oh, here's another triangle. I do have the rest of that. I'm just gonna pop that all in my trash can because I don't need that. And that is our last cut. I mean, our last thing we had to do. I'm gonna lock my trimmer blade, support the back of my accordion pocket file while I remove my trimmer. And then I'm gonna lay this on its back from now on while we dry fit our layouts. By dry fit, I simply mean that we're not gonna be using adhesive together. I want you to do that on your own, and we'll just make the best of our time just giving you some tips and tricks along the way to assemble these pages. Now, what I prefer to do is assemble our layouts from the back of the pile to the front. In other words, from layout 8 to number 1, so that when we're done with this dry fit phase, page 1 is on the top of your stack, okay? So to do that now, let's turn in our instructions to the very back page, or scroll to the back page, and we'll look at the bottom of page 4 where it says layouts 7 and 8. That's where we're gonna begin. I'll take this blueprint and I'm going to position it so that this flower is here, the larger flower is in the upper left. All the remaining prints that I've sorted ahead with you, that's gonna be on the left. And that way you don't have to have room for extra stacks of paper that aren't currently being used. Everything's in just 2 piles in front of you in that double page spread. Then take the contents of pocket 7 and 8, make sure you get all the things. And generally I like to hold what's being distributed to the layouts in my left hand because I'm right-handed, so you switch it if you're not. And distribute it from the hand rather than from the tabletop. I'll take this large strip here. I'm gonna put it on the left. Now, what will determine the placement of this is gonna be these 2 orange photo mats. So I'll place those horizontally, like so, maybe a little higher. And then this will go. And what I want is kind of like the margin to the right of the mat and in between them and to the left of it, those are like streets and avenues, and I want them all to be the same size. Then beneath, I'm going to level this out with a nice little border strip here. Then another orange mat is gonna be placed a little higher here, and that should be perfect for that cut apart, the larger one. Family, a little bit of crazy, a little bit of loud, a whole lot of love. Love that. And on top of that, I added one of those ombre leaf appliques. That's just gonna go right here, adds a lot. And there's also a tag I'll place here. I'll give you a tip about how I finish off that tag in a moment. Then, just keeping it simple, 2 vertical mats. and then on the bottom, the horizontal blue mat. Now I made a little trio of those pieces we trimmed out earlier. So I took the large leaf, I tucked it just underneath the photo mat, and then the smaller orange one I tucked, and then this one got tucked, and on top of that, I added this guy. And he kind of peeks into the photo mat a little bit. Now to add these, if you happen to have some gold brads on hand, there is a little hole in the center of all of these gold flowers. So if you'd like, you can pierce through that hole to the back of the page, add your gold brad, and it's there. Another alternative would be to use a glue dot or our bookbinding glue to attach these gold flowers. But you want to be careful not to put adhesive where the flower overlaps onto the mat. Let me show you. Here's that finished page. There I just pierced through there with my awl, A-W-L awl, and had a cork board underneath it so I could make a hole, and then the brad went through the hole, and I just spread those little prongs on the back of the page here. So that is page 8. Very straightforward, very simple. Also make sure too that when you add adhesive to your mats, when they overlap, that you have that area free of adhesive so you can just slide the picture in there. On the facing page, here I have my tag where I punched a hole into the tag and threaded it with that gold satin ribbon and wrapped the ends around to the back, secured them with tape, or you can do washi tape, whatever you prefer. And then I tied a second piece of ribbon into a knot and just glued it right to the top. What I like to use for the tag itself to punch that hole is a slot punch rather than just a circle. You can use a slot. So we carry these here at Club Scrap. They're very heavy duty. And now I have a cute little slot through which I can thread the ribbon here like so. And once that's threaded, you know, add it to your page, right? And then you can add that second piece, and it kind of looks like it's one piece of ribbon, but it's really two. And I love this appearance here. Okay, that is layout 7 and 8. That was easy, right? Now, if you want to glue things down here, you could, but I recommend we just slide over to the next page. So we slide layout 7 on top of 8. Then I'm going to take the next single sheet of paper and put it on top of that. And this is the base for layouts 5 and 6. Therefore, we need to empty the pocket labeled 5 and 6, which I will do now. Okay, that's empty. And then I will distribute what I have here, starting with that large piece. I'll put that one kind of on the left here, flush with the top edge. And beneath it, I'm going to add one of those orange strips nested with the dotty strip. And that's what just kind of creates two separate areas on this side of the layout, which I love. Now on the right, I'm going to balance that out with this vertical strip here. And to the right of it, I'm adding that cute little piece of blue. It's just going to tie in that blue color, just a tinge of it. That's all I wanted to add some balance for what we're about to do. So I'll add 2 horizontal light brown mats and then 1 vertical here. It's going to overlap that flower by just a bit. Then 1 orange here nested. Over on the left, I'll take 3 of these orange rectangles and line them up equally spaced, kind of starting on the left side. And then you have these 2 strips. Now those were rescued from the scrap pile, and here's what I'm going to do here. I'll add a little cut into the short edge, one short edge of this one, and into one short edge of this one. Notice I'm just freestyling. I know some people use punches or use stencils or use rulers. I just kind of cut it because it's, you know, casual. Then you can tuck that behind here. You might want to just trim it, or you might want to just show. It's totally up to you. There you go. You have this cute little embellishment there, and you rescued something from the, you know, recycle bin, and it just adds a lot, right? This blue square, it's going to go right about there, maybe a little lower, and you'll nest it with the orange block. Then you should have another rectangle that you can nest with frenzies till the endsies. Lastly, you'll have this piece, and you can place it here with 2 of those little squares. And peeking beyond that, you'll add this trimmed piece to kind of frame it. Okay, let me just take this out. So this will kind of be sitting there, but you'll fussy cut it. And then one of these cute little leaves will kind of go underneath there as well. And you wrap the bottom portion of this with ribbon. Finally, you have this trio of little flowers. Those are going to be added here with foam adhesives. So I will show you the entire finished layout so you can figure out what exactly is going on here. There we go. Oh, I also forgot to mention that I inked the edges of these elements with our earth ink and a sponge ink applicator. You could use the brush applicator, whatever you prefer. And that just warms up those edges a little bit and really plays well with what's already happening in the art style here. I did the same thing on the fussy cut piece. And then you got this piece here, just looks so beautiful. And a simple stretched ribbon with a second piece of ribbon tied to it gives that final look on this side of the page. Love that. Now here, I did a couple of fun things. So do you see how this flower is in the foreground, but it's on the back of the paper? Let me show you the back side. Oh, I guess I did it to this piece before it was attached. So here's where that photo mat's sitting. I made a pencil mark above where the flower ends here and down here where the flower ends there. Then I removed the mat and I took a craft knife and just cut around the flower. So with a craft knife and cutting mat. If you don't feel comfortable with using a craft knife and cutting mat, modify. Don't cry. That's what my trainer says. Don't cry, modify. If you can't do push-ups on your toes, do them on your knees, okay? It's totally fine. It still looks nice this way. Maybe we're just kind of upgrading a little bit. Now here you can wrap the bottom portion of this nested cut apart with the gold ribbon and then pierce it with the your awl. Add a gold brad from your stash if you have one. Again, if you don't, just use your favorite adhesive to attach the metal embellishment. If it's two-dimensional for you, another thing you can do is run this right through your die cut machine and it'll flatten it like a pancake. Down across this border strip here, I added 2 lengths of the jute and I just tied them to the back of the strip, I guess, and then just connect them together with a little additional piece of jute to make the bow. That's the detail here on pages 5 and 6. How fun is that? We will slide the base of page 5, which is the dark brown, onto 6, and then slide one more sheet of light brown, and now we have the base for layout 3 and 4. So if you're working with a printed copy of the instructions, you want to turn back to page 3 or scroll, whichever way you have to scroll, to see layout 3 and 4 and follow along with that image. So I'll grab everything out of that pocket. And this is so easy. I love how simple this is. I'll take the largest piece here and just place it about 1/4 of an inch from the left edge of the left page. And then I've got these 3 photo mats here. I'm just gonna stretch those across the bottom. That's gonna help us with just our placement. Above that will go the tan strip, and above that, a dark brown photo mat. Look how that all fits together so perfectly. Then we should have a larger blue piece in there. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, my Wisconsin is showing. Here we go. Then on the left side, if you have that family woodcut, that's part of your goodie package here. Be very careful with it. If it does happen to break for any reason, usually our bookbinding glue does a wonderful job of uniting things that have been separated. And then below that, I'll add my 2 photo mats. Now notice that the Y of the word family layers on top of the mat. So I was careful not to put adhesive on the bottom of the Y because I liked how it was going into that. I like the look of it. Okay, then I accented here with that final leaf. Below that, we'll have our wide border strip that creates our title. And then we can nest our journaling prompt onto the blue, nip your corners, add your slot, and thread it with the beautiful blue ribbon. So here we go to review. I did the same thing here, but double. With this gorgeous 1-inch grosgrain satin ribbon. Oh my goodness, it's just stunning and so completely simple. So again, slot, slot, thread, thread, tape, tape. That should be like a technique. The slot, slot, thread, thread, tape, tape technique. Then on this side, again, one slot, threaded it through, tape on the back. And then this I added with our bookbinding glue from a needle tipped applicator. Just nice and easy. I know it's a busy time in the fall, so hopefully you're thinking, yeah, I can do this. This is not going to take forever. This is nice. It's very achievable. Okay, I just did the stack and slide now, going to pages 1 and 2. So I'll empty the contents of pocket 1 and 2. Empty. This is the last one. Kind of sad because now our time's almost over. Now I'm going to take this larger piece here and turn it so that the larger orange flower is at the bottom. Then 2 blue photo mats will be tilted. Oh, before I do that, I'm going to add this blue strip just right up next to the print, and then the strip of leaves only. It really, this is 7/8 of an inch here, and the strip is 1 by 12, so there's not much that's going to show. It's okay. Then I'll add my 3 pieces here, and my second large blue photo mat will kind of be tilted and angled there. There's also a blue square and a journaling prompt with the oak leaf. That's gonna tuck kind of behind here. So these 2 are angled, this is straight and tucked, so you can't see the edge of the box. Oh boy, I'm gonna move over to this side for now and add the blue mat and then the orange mat followed by the orange strip. So I'm bringing the orange over from the right side to the left side, and then there's my title, my page title. Nice. Let's see, the 2 smaller blue squares have made their appearance, so I'll add them over here. Then we have this square. I'm going to have that tuck onto that border strip just to give it a little anchoring, and then I'll add this guy, and then just kind of above it a little bit, like so, I'll add this guy. Now on these final strips here, I'll add the sentence, "The biggest adventure you can take is to live the life of your dreams." Look at that. Okay, so those are all the components. I've got a couple of embellishments to discuss with you, so let's do that now. Here we have our page, and look at this. I mean, this wide ribbon is like, can be used so many different ways. I cut a little V into the edge of the ribbon 3 times over and just lined them all up, and there you go. You've got that beautiful trio of that sentiment there. And then everything else is just straightforward. Just glue it on. Here, I took 3 of those gold flowers, again, added them with my my brads. So you can see them all lined up. And I did use a ruler to help me, make sure it was level and evenly spaced across the bottom. I wanted the center of the embellishment to kind of land flush with the edge of this. And I just did my little trick again where I moved the corner of the photo mat behind the flower. Up here, this was added with foam adhesive, and then first I wrapped it with a bunch of layers of jute and then tied it in a knot and then attached it to the layout with my foam adhesive. Done and done. Oh, I love these abundance pages. They are so beautiful and so seasonally appropriate. They're so neutral. I don't know what you've got going on this year, but my guess is your life will fit onto these beautiful pages. Now, if you like this theme, remember I do have a card kit that we release every month. And if you're new to card making, it's a really fun approach to card making. It's a similar process. So we just we sort the paper first, just like we did today. Then we will trim all of the paper required for a dozen cards, and then we score, and then we assemble them for each of 3 different card styles. So in the process of making your 12 cards, you're always learning something from me here at Club Scrap. So either way, I hope you decide to give us a try if you haven't already. Meanwhile, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our lives or any of our workshops or tips and tricks that are shared on our channel. So just give me a like, hit subscribe, and give me a comment if you learned something new today. I always am encouraged to hear about that. I'll see you next time.